Hello everyone, welcome back to the 5 Minute Tech channel. Today we'll be talking about OpenClaw. We will be building a local AI analyst with OpenClaw on Ollama, and we'll be using Quen 2.5 or 7 billion parameter model along with Mistral AI, and we'll be doing it as a beginner friendly showcase of OpenClaw and why it matters so much and what's the hype about, and how the local workflows can be run using the OpenClaw. So to understand that, we first need to understand what is OpenClaw. OpenClaw was formerly known as Moldbot or Clawbot. It is a free, open source and self-hosted AI agent platform designed to run locally on your machine and act as an autonomous personal assistant. It will automate your task by connecting AI models via APIs to your local files, web browsers, and different applications like your WhatsApp or Telegram. And it automates tasks by connecting your different kinds of AI models. You can plug in with different models and they can do their own assigned tasks which you provide them. Now, in terms of key features and capabilities of OpenClaw, they have autonomous operation, takes actions, not just talking on the chat, and unlike chatbots, it executes the task which you assign it to. Like managing calendar, reading, writing files, and filling out forms. It is skill based, so this is one of the areas which we'll be demoing on how a skill based or modularized and extendable we can make it. We can add features like modular skills. Example skill will be, in our case, will be data analyst, but the other skills could possibly be about email, web scraping, or scheduling as well. Now it is also local first architecture. It runs on your own hardware or server, and it ensures your control over privacy, data privacy. And so it has a messaging interface command, as we talked about. It talks with different apps including WhatsApp and Telegram, which you can use for different tasks. OpenClaw use cases are varied, and also it has a couple of key considerations. Use cases are mostly around task automation, automating your repetitive tasks like filtering, summarizing emails, etc. System control, running shell commands or controlling a browser to extract data. And then there is a workflow integration, which where you can interact with different kinds of apps. But there are important consideration in terms of security risk. It is high level access to your computer and files which it has, and it carries risks if not managed securely. And also it is in an early stage of development, so it's rapidly evolving in project and early development stage with high engagement on GitHub and YouTube, so you can see a lot of hype around it. Now we are following a multi-model strategy in the local AI because we want 100% private zero cost infrastructure, whereas I will be running on a Docker wherein no GPU, only CPU based system is there. Supervisor agent, it evaluates the request and routes it. Analytical agent, your Quen model, specialized for reasoning tools, usage and retrieving data from a local vector database. And then the creative agent, that is a Mistral, specialized for natural language generation, tone and formatting. We will be focusing on the Quen 7B because that will be the one which will generate all our charts for our data analyst work. OpenClaw role in data analyst setup, that is our setup will be more aligned with Ollama, which will be the brain, and Ollama will be generating the text, whereas the OpenClaw will be acting as an operator, like performing a checklist of items or deciding a specific set of actions to be performed. Now OpenClaw orchestrates via organizing workflow. The OpenClaw is like organizing a list of items that it has to perform, deciding the next step that has to be done, and these are all something which you can provide as an instruction, and then it executes a specific skill set which you have provided it. So that also will be walking through, and it manages files and workspaces for further exploration and debug as well. Now core terms are defined simply in terms of OpenClaw. It's the workflow operator. Skill is a reusable instruction folder which will have different content. We'll be talking about it in detail. And then the workspace, the project's home folder, which contains the artifacts. Now in this project, OpenClaw is our orchestration layer, or it organizes the workflow, it uses the scales and manages the data for the analysts, which we'll be talking about in detail in the demo. Now project workflow diagram in terms of how the project workflow happens. It's a CSV file upload, and that runs through analysis and generates the artifacts. The user uploads, that is I will be doing that, and I will upload a CSV file. A local Python analyzer will run and profiles the data, identifying columns, types, missing values, and then the Ollama produces the structured reasoning, patterns, anomalies, and insights. And then OpenClaw workspace artifacts will be generated, where the outputs are written to a workspace folder, enabling follow-up analysis. It will have the reports and then the spreadsheet and the anomaly and the report data. So we'll be seeing all this in our demonstration. Execution flow: first we will have the browser where we will upload the CSV file, and will have the output generated by the OpenClaw as an artifact. The analyzer is where the profiling and chart generation happens, and the analyzer is where the profiling and chart generation will be performed. The Ollama is the provides the local model runtime, the local LLM, and whereas the OpenClaw workspace becomes useful because it knows how to work with the workspace and the artifacts which is generated. Now why OpenClaw workspace matters here? Because it's understandable project structure. It has a well-defined project structure and keeps the whole projects understandable. Isolates but accessible component and clear separation of duties. The folder hierarchy diagram is mostly around this, when we have uploads, the project run, and outputs. In our case it will be chart, png, report.md, and trace file. And then the OpenClaw skills file will also be provided here. The organized input and output will be generated, the uploads, processes, and the outputs, the runs which we performed in terms of chart, reports, and trace. And then the key practical benefit is it is easy to demo when you have a workspace folder, and it is easy to debug because of all the information at one place, and definitely easy to reuse. Now OpenClaw skill, we talked about it briefly. What does it actually do? OpenClaw skill file is most important OpenClaw concept, especially in this project, because the skill is how OpenClaw learns a task. In our case, the skill tells OpenClaw where to find the CSV file, how to trigger the analyzer, what artifacts to verify, and how to explain the workflow when required. So this is a brief snapshot of the skill.md file, which I will be showcasing when we will coding that. And what a skill tells OpenClaw, all these steps which has to be performed to complete the desired output of the application. So this is the snapshot of the application which we'll be working on. It's a local data analyst where we'll upload the CSV file and generate the output. So let's get started. So here I have opened a folder for OpenClaw where I'll be putting in or coding in the code which is work our local analyst, local AI data analyst code work. So to begin with, we'll create a folder called local data analyst stack, and I'll put in the code structure. The first file which we will be having is an environment file. So let me put in the environment file, and then we will have the git ignore. The git ignore will be mostly around which files we want to discard. The environment example file which will be around the environment variables will be the port for the Ollama and the application, and also the model which we'll be using, which is Qwen 2.5 and 7b, and the workspace directly which we want to use. Now since this is something which we have not mentioned, we can provide a specific folder which you want to use, otherwise it will default to your app data folder. So we'll go ahead and save this, and then we will add the git ignore. Git ignore is mostly around the Python code which we will be using. So next is to add the Docker YAML file. The Docker YAML file has two services, Ollama, which will be running as our brain, if you can say that, And then we have the Analyst UI, which will be the one which will give the UI for viewing the result and how the OpenClaw has generated or used the reports or artifacts. Next is our the workspace specific shell files. So to begin with, we'll create a script folder. So let me go ahead and create a script folder here. And the first script which we want to do is to initialize the workspace. Now remember the workspace we talked about. OpenClaw works with the workspace concept, and the workspace is something which will determine where it is having all the files and the folders in place. Next is the model which we want to pull for this work. So let's put in a shell script which we use for determining the model, and this is where we are providing the Ollama port and the specific model which we have mentioned in our environment variable default model, right? Next is our OpenClaw shell script. So the OpenClaw shell script is something which will help us to run the OpenClaw, and it will cd into the workspace and it will start the session around it. Okay, and next is our Analyst. In this we'll create a folder for services, and this is required for our now this will be required for our Python script, Python code, and app which we will be creating will be an Analyst app. So let me name it as Analyst app, and I'll create a Docker file for it. So Docker file, let me add the content of the Docker file, and the content of the Docker file is primarily around the Python library and running the application, the Python application. So that's pretty much around that one. We have a requirement text file which is for the Analyst app, and the requirement text file contains all the dependencies which we need around the Python application, running the Python application. Next is our app folder, in which we will be putting in the code. So in the services and inside the Analyst app, we will create a folder called app, and we'll create the empty initialize.py file, and then we will also create the main.py file here. I'll just put in the code for the main.py file. Basically it is doing a lot of stuff, some of them being running the Ollama model and also generating the chart and the files. So I'll be providing it a CSV file through which, on the basis of data, it will generate certain charts or reports, analyze the data which I provide in CSV to generate the charts and the reports. So that's what it is basically doing. Now the main.py file is the main code area, and then we have the analyzer py file as well, which will generate the analyzed output. So let me put in the analyzed code as well. And then after the analyzer code, we have also the index page for our application. So the index page is something which will, so I have to create first a folder for the template, and then that folder will contain the index.html, which will give the browser page, the default page, where we can view our demo of what all charts is being generated. So I pasted the content for it. It will show all the charts, it will load all the charts which is generated, which we can see in the workspace folder also, but it would be good to have that in the UI so that we don't have to switch around to see that. In the apps folder, we will also create one static directory for the static CSS, I'll put in the style.css file there. So let me do that. And the style folder is something which the index.html will rely on for getting the styling. Following this, we will have the skill.md which we were talking about. So we will go ahead and create the skill.md files. So this is the skill.md file which I am providing all the details here as a local data analyst. So use this skill when the user want to analyze CSV file locally inside this workspace. We provide the location of the CSV folder and the output artifacts, and then we do is we do a curl command on the local host for the specific model which we want to use and run the analyze. And that's pretty much the skill.md file which we provide to it. It has all the instructions that the OpenClaw need to run this. Now let's go ahead and run this application. Now we create the executables out of the shell file. So first one is init workspace, the next is the pull model, and the third one is the run OpenClaw shell files. Then we will go ahead and run the initialize workflow shell. Since I have already run this, so I am not running it because we have already executed it. We will go ahead and run the docker compose build up and -d. Now since I have pulled all these things and I have run this already, so it is running pretty fast for me, but for you it might take some time. Now I'll go ahead and pull the Quen model. The command to do so is script pull model, which is in the screen right now, and through this you will be able to pull the Quen model 2.5. Following that, you can run the build again, or you can just go ahead and check in the workspace what all things are coming, and through that you will be able to observe it. Now we will go ahead after running all these commands and all, so you will be able to launch the application on 8080. So let me run the application now. So this is how the application will look for you. Now you can run any of the models and you can provide the custom file. You can use a sample data set and it will start the analysis and it will give the output of the result. Now as you see, it has finished the analysis now. I had paused the video because it takes time, and it generated it says the run completed and artifacts have been created. You can see the detail log coming from the trace.jsonl, and also if you go down you will be able to see the chart preview, which you can open in a separate window, the report preview and the trace which will be running. Now the OpenClaw context and the files were present in a specific folder which I'll be showing you now, and this is all the generated artifacts from the OpenClaw. So for me the OpenClaw workspace is in user admin, and as you see it has generated now the charts, reports and the trace, and also it has the skills MD file which I just showed you some time back, and also it has the run, the different runs which it has performed, and also the upload, the CSV file upload which I did. So this has the whole workspace structure which we were talking about. So that was all about OpenClaw and how we can use it to generate different artifacts through different commands which can provide in the skill.md. There are different other ways in which you can use OpenClaw as well in terms of tools and other orchestration. This was one simple orchestration using the skills aspect of OpenClaw. Hope you like the video. If you like the video, press like and subscribe to the channel. Have a nice day.